Well, hello there. I want to give you an overview of the flight assessment and why I think it's so important in this day and age, why I think it's going to be the solution for our communities, our workplaces, our churches, our families. First of all, what is the flight assessment? Well, the flight assessment is a behavioral assessment. It helps you to understand how you interact with people and how you have an influence over people. And I'm going to associate some characters so that it'll help us a little bit better. Everybody has written on a plane. Well, most people have written on a plane. So when you think about an airplane, you have the pilot who is very direct. He gets on the plane, he goes straight to the cockpit, he or she. Actually, I've never seen a female pilot, but that's a whole nother story. He goes straight to the cockpit. He's got a destination. He knows exactly where he wants to take us, and he knows how to get us there. So that's the pilot. And then you have the flight attendant. That's the one who's dealing with other people. The flight attendant is how we interact and influence other people. The pilot, on the other hand, is how we handle problems, how we resolve situations, dealing with problems, how we solve all of that kind of thing. And the flight attendant is how we influence people and how we interact with people. So with the flight attendant, she's making sure that you're comfortable, making sure you have everything that you need. She wants to make sure that you have a great experience. And then there's the grounds crew. That's how you typically pace things or pace your workflow as it relates to the environment. That's going to be the person who makes sure that the water is on the plane, make sure your luggage gets to the right plane, and is very, very loyal, very steady, very consistent. That's going to be our grounds crew. And then finally, we have the air traffic controller. That's the person who's strategic. That's how you relate to rules and systems and strategies. So the air traffic controller is in communication with the pilot to let them know, hey, they're able to provide those strategies and say, hey, you know what? We're good to take off, or no, let's not go yet. There's some things, some turbulence might be happening. We don't want to go yet. So the pilot, very demanding and direct, gets us to our destination. The flight attendant, how we interact with people, how we influence other people. The grounds crew, steady, loyal, consistent, and the air traffic controller. That's the person who's very strategic and very rules oriented strategy. And you can see my face when I say rules because, anyway, so with the flight assessment, you're able to answer some questions to help you understand how you move and groove, where your levels are as it relates to these specific topics, and why this is so important. So I'll give you an example. I am a high pilot. I score higher on as it relates to being a pilot. I didn't realize this about myself, right? That I'm very direct. Some of you who may know me, like, yeah, she's a pilot. I can be very direct, having knowing where I want to go and figuring out how to get there. I also score relatively in the mid range for being a flight attendant. So I'm very people oriented. I can be very sociable, but the concern is when we allow our superpower. So I'm going to say if you are more of a pilot, that's going to be, let's say that that's your superpower. Well, that's where you're scoring higher, right? And so the challenge then becomes when we are using our overusing our superpower, then others can think that we can be too direct. Maybe we're too aggressive, we're too goal oriented. We're so focused on getting to our destination that we don't have time for the little details that go along with, life and how we move and groove through the world. So you can see how that can be challenging. So there's a constant battle between those two. So today, do I bring my superpower of my pilot, or do I need to just be sociable today? So let me give you an example as to how this really plays out in everyday life. So if I'm at a networking event, I want to be social. I don't want to be direct and aggressive and, oh, I got to meet so many people at this particular event. So understanding which superpower you need to use in any given circumstance is so very, very critical. So, how important is this as it relates to dealing with other family members? When you're able to take this assessment and understand who you are and be self aware, now you can learn other people's behaviors, and then you're able to communicate better with other people. And just imagine if you could better communicate with your family, on your job, at your church, within the community. Just think how much better this is going to be for all of us. So I want to help spread the word, give out the assessment, and help people to understand the results, and then some practical steps as to how to better communicate and thrive on your job, thrive in your family, thrive in your churches, wherever you communicate with other people. Let's take the assessment. I can help you do that and understand ourselves, because self-awareness is going to be so critical in terms of how we navigate through this thing called life. So if you're interested, I didn't do a good job with, well, it is what it is, right? But I can do a better job. Once I have your information in front of me, I can help you to understand what's going to be the best strategy for helping you to communicate better with the people who are around you, as well as those internal battles that happen from within. Waking up and deciding, hey, do I need to be in my pilot mode today? What's on my agenda? Or do I need to be in my flight attendant where I'm more sociable? I'm able to connect with other people. So let me give you a real life example as to how I believe this is going to help with our communities. So when my son was growing up, I'm a single mom, and me, dealing with his father, right? And so what I didn't realize is, with me being very, very direct, he was saying that he didn't like my attitude when he would come over to the house to visit with our son. So my personality was like, well, what difference does it make? See, I'm already going into my pilot mode. Well, what difference does it make my attitude? You should raise your child. You should want to be in your child's life regardless of my attitude. But now I know he is a grounds crew, very supportive, doesn't like confrontation. So I'm thinking he's probably a little bit lower on the pilot. He doesn't like confrontation. And my aggressive pilot mode was like, you know what? I ain't dealing with that. So if we understand how this person reacts, how this person's behavior is, knowing what I know now, I would have been able to dial back my pilot. You know what? Let me allow him to be himself. Dial back your pilot so that your son can be in his, so that your baby daddy can be in his father's light. Let me get this together. So that your baby daddy can be in your child's life, you have to know how to adjust your behaviors to get along with other people. And how important is that this day and age? Single parenthood is on the rise, but we have to learn how to communicate with one another for the sake of the children. So if I understand me and I learn how to understand the other parent, now we can adjust our behavior strategies, our natural tendencies for the sake of the child. So coachdanaspencer@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. Let's connect and get you this assessment. Let's look at your numbers so that I can help you to learn how to communicate and navigate through this thing we call life. Once again, coachdanaspencer@gmail.com. Let's go.